I want to bring in Ollie London now, a social media personality, author of Gender Madness. And Joe Cardinelli is a retired NYPD lieutenant. Great to see both of you here. Lieutenant, let me just start with you. Nuts and bolts of what we were seeing, obviously. Just horrific shooting at a hockey game, no less. So many people in attendance there running. This is such a frantic scene, and we're learning, obviously, the gunman, per John's report, opening fire there on the crowd. Just walk us through what you're seeing and this playing out. Obviously, the gunman turning the gun on himself, taking his own life, that from authorities. Your thoughts this morning, Lieutenant?
You know, Sean, you and John laid it out pretty well there. It's a good prelude to this, to what we're seeing right now. What amazes me is that, you know, first of all, this is premeditated. This is something that you could see in the making for a long time. He had it in for the father-in-law from a previous incident when I believe the father-in-law asked him to leave the house. The wife wanted him out of there. So there's a domestic component to this that law enforcement is familiar with and the courts are familiar with. His own daughter said he had mental health issues. So at what point, I don't know whether these weapons were possessed legally. All right, if they are, it presents a bigger problem, because at what point do you go and say, with these rantings and what's going on with the domestic situation, at what point do you remove these weapons, all right, if they are possessed legally, all right? So that's the big question over here. But the other thing is that the family knows it. The daughter says he has mental health issues. If they know he has weapons, why weren't they removed by, you know, have the family say something about it? This is something we see time and time again. And everybody complains about guns in the hands of the wrong people and this. You know what? This is basic for domestic violence cases, and it has to be addressed. And it's unknown to me or anybody else. I'm sure the medication that goes along with this has something to do with it, because you're seeing this all over. You see it in Canada. You see it down in Tennessee. We've seen this time and time again. At what point do we interject with these things?
Well, to that point, Ollie, we're learning more details on the shooter's home life. A local news outlet in Rhode Island got its hands on court documents showing Dorgan's gender identity was tied to past family disputes. The court documents revealing that in early 2020, Dorgan went to the North Providence Police Department and reported recently undergoing gender reassignment surgery. The shooter reportedly telling police that the father-in-law wanted Dorgan out of their North Providence home because of it, which may or may not indicate a motive. But getting back to the heart of the matter, the author of Gender Madness, Ollie, how do you see this?
Well, this is yet another transgender shooter, Sean. Last week in Canada, you had the Tumbler Ridge shooter who gunned down his own family, his mother and brother-in-law, before gunning down children and teachers at school. So now this is yet another example. You had last year the Minneapolis Annunciation shooter, and then in 2023, the Nashville shooter. So it really is becoming a pattern. And if we look at this shooter's social media history on X, just one day prior to carrying out the shooting, he was going on about going berserk, responding to actor Kevin Sorbo, talking about Congress Representative Sarah McBride, and also responding to an Alex Jones tweet, again saying about trans people have the right to go berserk if they're being misgendered. So clearly this is someone that is very disturbed, and as his own daughter said, he has mental health issues. She also said in the soundbite he's very sick as well, and he previously had a dispute with his father-in-law. The police were called, and the father-in-law said he didn't want him there, and it was a dispute again over his gender identity. So clearly a disturbed individual, and his social media history does show that he was a frequent trans activist, constantly on X and Facebook posting about trans rights.